to the end of the National Museum, and then we're looking at this lovely building on the right. Now, it looks like part of the museum, but it isn't. This is actually the Old Law College here in Edinburgh. Now, its name would signify really that they don't use it anymore, but they do. Historically, up until present day, you would come and study law here in your first or second year. And this is actually a Georgian building. It was finished by Robert Adam that did Charlotte Square. If you look to the corner of this building on the right, and then the building across from it, above the Blackwell's bookshop, I know the sun is kind of harbouring our view, but you might notice that some of the windows look a bit funny. Now, they're not real windows, or they are, but they've been boarded up. Now, William Pitt the Younger, he also introduced another tax to the Georgian people, and it was window tax. So I mentioned earlier that Georgian people love to display their wealth in their buildings, so the more windows you had, the more money you had. So for William Pitt, this meant the more windows you had, the more tax you had to pay. The Georgian people, they got very, very annoyed by this, and they started bricking and boarding up their own windows, so they wouldn't have to pay as much tax, but they still got that lovely symmetry in their buildings. Now, this is us just coming onto Southbridge. Again, doesn't look like a bridge, but if you look to your left and right, you will see that we are on one. This is the longest bridge here in Edinburgh, and below us we have some of the most haunted spots in the whole city. This bridge is made up of 19 different archways, and in the 18th century, the archways underneath us had chambers, and these chambers were all used as storage facilities, taverns and brothels. But over time, they became very crime-riddled and dangerous. Homelessness was actually punishable by death in Scotland, so lots of bad people accumulated in the areas below us. Eventually, these areas and chambers, they became so dangerous that they had to be sealed up again and were not rediscovered until the mid-1980s. Now you can go and visit them in ghost tours. Some of them are even wedding venues. My sister did get married in one of them.
His sister.
Yes. And this is us just turning on to the High Street section of the Royal Mile. We will be approaching stop number 11 in just a second if anybody would like to get off here. On your left hand side, we're coming up to Paisley Close. Now, Paisley Close is in the white building that you might see on your left in just a second. And Paisley Close, in my opinion, is one of those alleys that you have to go down. That's it just coming up now, guys. It's got the little boy depicted on the front of it. At the bottom of Paisley Close, we have the Celtic Craft Centre. And this is an independent tartan and clan shop here in the city, where you can go and ask the gentlemen in there questions about your Scottish or Irish heritage. On your right hand side, we have the Museum of Childhood, another free attraction that you can visit here in Edinburgh. And this one is multiple different floors of toys throughout history to present day. Now, I mentioned the military tattoo earlier. The military tattoo comes out of the castle just onto that lawn market section up there. Hello, welcome. So, the military tattoo comes out to that section of the lawn market, but historically it did used to come all the way down here. So, if you look to your left, can you see those stairs that are just directly in front of us? My mother used to work in this building. She used to make kilts by hand. So, they would sit in the summer on those stairs and make their kilts and watch all of the soldiers come out from the military tattoo. She actually told me and my siblings that she used to get frequent rows from her boss for not doing her work and instead just sitting there and staring at all the soldiers that were coming down.
So your mother is Scottish?
Yes, my mother is Scottish. And my father,
Mother.
he was Italian and Irish.
Wow.
Yes.
We're very.
And my boyfriend, he's English. So if we have children, they're going to be
We'll be
some yes,
Scottish.
pretty mixed children. When I was growing up, my mother, she spoke Gaelic, and my father, he spoke Italian.
Wow.
So when we were growing up, my parents did make the decision that they weren't actually going to teach us any second languages, which was so silly because now as an adult it would be fabulous to be able to speak Gaelic, Italian and English.
So you can 3 languages.
No, I can barely speak one.
There is.
I have been learning Spanish though. I've been learning Spanish for about 3 years.
Wow.
I know lots of words, I just can't speak it. I think it's the accent. Doesn't come out right.
Yeah, it's not.
I went on holiday to Spain in May and I tried to use some of the Spanish that I'd learned with the people there and they just looked at me like,
What?
what is she saying?
And you forgot you have the Spanish.